when you get beat to a field or a spot a couple times, it makes you get up earlier.
I know, it does. Every time I sleep in, even at all, we end up getting beat in.
Oh yeah,
that'll put the stops to sleep in real fast.
Yeah, I wish I could still sleep at fields like I used to do when I was younger, but I can't do that.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have a desire to do that either.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys
Jordan,
and guns,
we didn't really talk about the outlines,
tactics,
so I'm just going to follow your
strategies,
lead.
and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host alongside me, Elliot Graybeard from Freelance Duck Hunting, and our guest for tonight is John Lewis from Cabelas Northern Flights. How you doing, John?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, really excited to have you back on. I think that last time you were on, that was one of my favorite podcasts we had. That was a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
What do you got going on lately? What's your hunting world like right now?
It hasn't been too crazy yet. I don't like early season. We don't do a lot of traveling early just because things can be so unpredictable. So we try to stay local. We did an Ontario trip that was early season birds. We had an awesome goose hunt up there, but the ducks just local birds that have been shot at a bunch. But our big one's coming up here in 2 weeks, I guess. Now we're leaving November 2nd to go to Manitoba for, I think we're going to be out there for 14 days. So
wow,
it's going to be an adventure. None of us have ever gone there. We always go to North Dakota, usually next week or this week and next week. And every year we're like, we always just miss the epic wave of birds coming down. So we decided to try Manitoba this year. And of course it's really cold. And now we're flirting with whether it's going to freeze before we get there or not. So that was the thought behind it, was we'll either go late and hit something pretty wild, or we're going to end up in North Dakota again. So
at what point will you switch the trip? Like you just watch the weather and then we actually rented a place off Airbnb, and we have 5 days before we leave. If we cancel it then we're only out like $150. So I'm watching it like a hawk until, day 6. And if on day 6 it looks like it's going to freeze, then we're probably going to pull the plug. But it takes a while for that. I mean, it's crazy how long birds will stay in an area. If they have food and some open water, I mean, there's enough big water up there that takes a while for it to freeze. And that's what we're hoping for. I mean, if we hit it, it should be good, but it'll be an adventure nonetheless. We've never been there. So what's your plan up there? Is it just to mostly fields? Are you guys freelancing it? What's the plan?
Yeah, we're completely freelancing it. I think we got 6 guys going. Like I said, we rented a house, which is actually pretty luxurious for us. Usually we stay in like a Morton building in North Dakota in a camper that one of our farmer friends has. So we got a house with a shower and like Wi-Fi and stuff, which is pretty wild. But yeah, we're just freelancing it. I mean, we don't really have any connections up there. We're going to go and we're either going to get our butts kicked or we're going to figure some stuff out. But that's what we like to do. It'll be probably mostly fields, I'm guessing. I know like Jake from White Rock, they went up there a couple years ago. And that was a really wet year, but they had some luck on like some loaf hunts on beaver ponds and stuff like that. But I think a lot of I think it's always wet and mucky up there, but I think a lot of it will be mostly field hunting.
So all private?
If permission, yeah. I don't know. See, I've actually kind of probably been slacking a little bit with the research. I'm not sure. The hard thing with up there is there's not like a mapping system like we have here where you can find landowners. So we're going to go to the courthouse and try and get some tax maps and
going old school like we used to have to do before, you know, Onyx and Scout Look and all these other companies came out. So I think the hardest part is probably finding the land owner because it's so vast and big parcels. So, you know, and we do the same thing in North Dakota. A lot of it, we have hunted some public land in North Dakota. You can hunt private ground that's not posted there's like certain variables, but even when we do hunt that stuff, we always try to find the farmers beforehand, just out of respect. And a lot of times really you meet the farmers and you talk to them and they're like, oh, well, I own all this too. What do you want to shoot? So it's, that happened to us last year. We were out there and we talked to a farmer just to figure out who owned this other ground. And he's like, well, I own all this stuff. If you guys want to hunt that, just go right ahead. And we looked at his map on his wall and it was like all the fields along all the refuges. And we found it like 2 days before we were leaving. And I'm like, oh, but that's just, you know, it's those people that, I mean, they like to talk to people. And that's what we do. We go meet so many awesome people by doing that. So, but yeah, it'll be private. If we find some public that we can hunt, we're going to do it. It'll be a learning curve, that's for sure. But hopefully it'll be fun regardless. I'm sure we'll want to beat each other up by the end of the 2 weeks. Though. That's usually how that goes.
Yeah, I was going to say 14 days. That's a long trip. I don't think I've ever been on a hunting or a fishing trip. I mean, even a vacation that's 2 weeks long is going to be a long time to be with even your hunting buddies.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're only sleeping a couple hours a night. That gets old fast for 14 days.
So will you hunt every single day?
We'll probably, it'll really depend. What's nice actually about this is if we have 6 guys and we're going to have 3 vehicles. So usually when we go to North Dakota, we only have 1 vehicle. So we're hoping that we'll be able to have enough people to rotate. So maybe a guy every morning, because that's a problem. If you go out, you know, everybody's excited to hunt, but you find something, you hunt it, and then you don't have anything unless you find something that evening. So the plan is to hopefully just rotate through scouters. So every morning we have, you know, maybe 5 guys hunting and 1 guy driving around scouting, figuring out what's going on. That way you get more of a chance to hunt. So you're not, you know, hunting one day, then taking the next day to scout, find birds. And at the end of the day, you're hunting 7 days, where if you just, everybody rotates on which day they're going to hunt and then scout, you may get 10, 12 hunts out of it. But, you know, everybody gets so excited to hunt, which is awesome. But really the being able to scout is the only reason you're able to hunt. So it'll be nice having 3 cars. Especially not knowing an area, we can all go different directions. But it's going to be a haul. It's 24 hours from where I live to drive out there. So
that is quite the drive.
Yeah, should be a good one. Fun.
Is everybody coming from the same spot, or you guys?
No, we have 2 guys coming from Michigan, and then one of my buddies I grew up with. He's actually flying out and renting a car. So he got the good end of the stick because he's like, well, I was like, our gear has to get out there somehow, and I'm the lucky guy that gets to drive it out for this year anyways. But we're not taking the trailer. I just don't want to pull. That's what's awesome about. We're going to take all socks and silhouettes and then pack it full, and the guys from Michigan are going to bring whatever they can fit in a truck bed. So we're literally going to be hunting out of 2 trucks. But
nice.
That's the great thing about those socks and silhouettes.
Yeah. Yeah. You can fit a lot of them. I mean, all said and done, we'll probably have 35 dozen decoys in the bed of the truck with plus whatever, you know, else we need for blinds and everything. So it's a sweet little setup. You can fit a lot in a small area.
Yeah.
But,
what are you going to have in the way of floaters, duck floaters?
We'll probably only take 2 or 3 dozen. Probably some pintails, mallards. But we run a lot of just mixed stuff. We have avians. You know, a lot of that stuff out there, we're going to pretty much pick through everything we have and try to take as many feeders as possible. We hunt a lot of big water around here, so you're hunting a lot of loafing birds where they're not really feeding, they're just hanging out. So we have a lot of like preeners and just resters, active birds. But out there, I mean, you're hunting feeds, so doesn't make sense to run 3 dozen decoys with their heads up when ducks are going there to feed. So probably between the 5 or 6 of us, of all of our combined, we're going to pull out 95% feeders. That's what's nice about most of the stuff out there, unless we're hunting a beaver pond, is going to be really shallow. So we can run socks and silhouettes and stuff like that right in the water.
So you think that the feeder decoys make that big of a difference, that you'd switch to all feeder decoys opposed to having ones with their heads up?
Yes. I flew a drone just the other day over like high over some ducks, and there was probably 70 mallards. There was like 5 with their heads up. Like you could only see 5 or 6 green heads. The rest of them were fully submerged, heads under the water. So, I mean, that's a spot they're feeding. They're not resting. So, and that was, I mean, like they came out of the grass and we're in a pretty open pool. But, you know, like when we hunt on the big lake, big water, it's different. They're not going there to feed as much as they are just to relax and rest through the midday. I mean, if you look at birds, same with geese, if you look at birds, really the only time all of their heads are going to be up is right when they land or when they're getting ready to leave or moving. So I'd rather replicate when birds are feeding, they're comfortable, or sleeping. I think that's why sleeper shells work so well for geese. I mean, if you hunt geese on ice and water, they suck right into those sleepers.
Yeah, most people I don't think run that many feeder decoys.
Well, yeah, most come with, that I'm thinking of, like they'll come with like 4 and 2 feeders, or no feeders.
Yep, exactly. That's what I mean. We're hunting the spot we're hunting tomorrow. We have like 3 or 4 guys going, and like just bring whatever you have for feeders, because same thing. I think GHG makes some just full feeder packs. But yeah, like you said, most of them come with, you know, 1 or 2 maybe stretch neck feeders, and then active and resters, swimmers. So we'll toy with it. I mean, it makes sense in my mind.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting thought. I've never tried it myself, but I might give it a go too.
Yeah, maybe just invent full feeder packs, start selling full feeder packs. But like I said, it's all relevant to what you're hunting. I saw ducks with their faces buried under the water, so that's what I want to replicate when we try to shoot them.
Now, will you guys have the mallard windsocks with you as well, or just Canada?
Yeah, we're actually going to stop. We drive right through Minnesota where Jake lives, so I called him and asked him if I could grab a couple bags of mallard socks to go up there. And I don't know enough about it to be confident in exactly how I'm saying birds are going to be up there. But like from what I've seen with them hunting, like you can hunt strictly mallard feeds. You know, a lot of times we're hunting goose and duck feeds, or running goose spreads to kill ducks, which I'm sure will work. But I wanted that option to just, if we find a bunch of mallards and no geese around, which I don't think is necessarily going to happen, I want to have the option to just run a big spread of mallards. So
now, I'm using the mallard socks for the first time this year, and I've had one opportunity to try them a little bit, where we had a flood come in, and so we were hunting this. Basically, this farmer had just mowed down this kind of grass stuff. It wasn't really crop or anything, but the ducks had been in there like crazy, and it was about ankle deep water. And so I was using about 3 or 4 dozen of those socks, but there was no wind at all. And I started, the first several bunch of ducks weren't coming in, and I started to get really nervous that the socks with the no wind was really hampering it. And I just haven't used socks enough. I know with snows it makes a big difference. What is your experience and thoughts about how much wind do you need in order to feel comfortable using those mallard socks?
I haven't hunted over the mallard socks much at all. I know we've killed geese with no wind over the Canada socks, but I think the ideal wind speed to run them is probably anything over 5, like 10 mile an hour is my favorite. It seems like if it gets really high, you get that rapid dance. It's not as bad as some like other ones where they don't have the support that keeps the dancing down to a minimum. But from my experience, Canadas don't like a lot of movement like a snow goose would or something, you know, like they don't like that rapid, fast movement because that's not how they feed. So like once you get over 20 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, I don't like that bounce, like real fast, rapid bouncing. Not saying it doesn't work, but same reason why if you have spinners on when Canadas are coming, they hate it. They just don't, for some reason, they don't like that really fast. And it could be different with lessers, you know, like smaller geese, they feed more like snows, but our big geese that we're hunting, they're kind of slow and lazy. They're not moving around a bunch.
Yeah. I need to talk to Jake more about that too. I've never used these Mallard socks. So I don't remember who we talked about it with, but sometimes like with decoys and everything, what looks the best to you is what you want, but it's not necessarily what it looks best to the ducks. So putting those socks out, they looked a little awkward just because I was unaccustomed to them.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it's like, I like how they look, but it looks different. And so there was no wind at all. The birds were stopping short and not coming in. So we tried pulling them and it didn't make any difference at all. Once we pulled them, but that was one of the first things we tried just because we didn't have any wind at all. So, you know, you're always sitting there scratching your head. It's like, okay, it's not working. What's the first thing we're going to do? Make sure you're covered. What's the second thing you're going to do? Mess with the decoys, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pull the mojo.
I'm really excited to use those a lot more. We've got a lot of flooded corn around here this year, and I'm going to try it in real shallow flooded corn, but I just need to get more. I'd like to pick Jake's brain a little bit more about them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, you know, they hunt a lot of, same with you guys, you got a lot of sandbars and stuff. And that's what's, I mean, worth their weight in gold for that stuff. Cause you can pack so many of them. And when you're hunting a lot of that stuff, you're hunting migrating birds, and it's big spreads. You got to have it, but to get, you know, full bodies and stuff out there is impossible if you're running a smaller boat or you're just, you know, trying to be efficient with your trips.
Well, we hunt ice shelves when we do that a lot too. So now it's like, okay, now we need a drill of some kind because how are you going to get those down in ice, you know? So we're already talking about, you know, what kind of drills we need to drill them down in, because we're going to use those things. I guarantee it. If the ice or not, we're going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. You almost
just problems with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely takes some creativity, but they work when you get them set up right and the conditions are right. That's for sure. We've had good luck with them. I mean, and I don't consider myself like strictly one thing or another. I'm a situational hunter. It's kind of what I like to call myself, just because if something works, I'm going to use it. If something else is going to work better, I'm going to use that. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it. I use what I feel is going to work best in each situation. I mean, you see us hunt over full bodies, you see us hunt over socks, silhouettes, out of A-frames, out of layout blinds. It's just all depends on the situation we're handed. And I think that's the biggest thing with waterfowl hunting in general is it's all, any type of hunting is you got to take your situation into consideration and, you know, see what makes the most sense. And that's what we've had the best luck with.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm actually running some of those wind socks this year as well, and I think I'm going to get my first chance this week to give them a shot. And one thing I kind of wanted to do is try just wind socks, almost like a challenge for myself to see how well they work. You know, and I think you know that they'll work fine. Just wind socks if you're in the right spot, putting them out there, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too. Your spot is, if you can hide and you're where they want to be, it's only going to take you to mess it up, you know? I mean, if you're hunting a spot where birds are going, that's the number one key. And then I'd say 90% of hunts are messed up because they see you, not because of your decoys. That would be, you know, my thoughts on it. if you're where they want to be, they're going to be there. They were there for a week straight. They're going to come there again. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is overcalling. I mean, that's something that we catch ourselves doing all the time too. We call way too much, and birds don't. I mean, yeah, they make noise, but they're, especially ducks. You see guys, the first time they see ducks, they just start hammering on their calls. Ducks aren't vocal like that all the time. I mean, you're not in Arkansas trying to pull them down through the treetop. They see you. If they're going there, they're going to go there. They don't make that much sound.
Yeah.
But,
that screaming, it gets on my nerves. It's like, because you get in a marsh that even if you're like 200-300 yards from the next group, if there's 5 or 6 groups in the marsh and every one of them are screaming and most of them are not concealed enough, well, there goes your day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're going to leave the whole pool.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not dumb.
It's that incessant screaming, like constant screaming. We had a guy, our last hunt, that there was multiple times they shot, and 3 seconds later they're screaming on the call. I was like, you just unloaded your gun. Nothing's coming in the next 30 seconds. Quit calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called a hell call, Elliot. Jeez.
But you guys have any trips planned for this year, or just fairly local stuff?
I'm going to Kansas. Gonna visit some guy over there.
Yeah, I got him coming down here. I talked him into coming down and staying at the house in mid-November, or hold on, mid-December, early December.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Actually, going somewhere where there's a lot of birds.
Yeah.
Central.
We're heading out western Kansas a lot more this year than we have previous years. We always take a few trips, but we've been going a lot. And normally we'll take one trip where we go to either Nebraska or someplace like that. But we're just having so much success out where we've been going that we're just like, we're all in. We're just going back and back.
Is that Missouri River?
No, we're out. It's out farther.
Okay.
Central Kansas.
Okay.
I live right up against the Missouri River.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of that's my home. That's where my local hunting where I don't have to travel is.
Yeah. Awesome.
We don't actually hunt the Missouri River hardly ever. I've only hunted it once. It's kind of a scary beast, but this part it's real channelized and it's real fast but we hunt the Kansas River a lot.
Okay.
A lot shallower, a lot easier to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that we can get on the rivers more this year. Last year was got so cold so fast, and before you could before the birds were even using them, it was like giant ice chunks floating down, and I don't mess with that. But
that's how the Missouri gets here.
Yeah,
that's how it gets.
And the thing we fight with here too is we have glacier lakes, and it takes a lot to make them things freeze. They fly the rivers and stuff as pretty much their highways for migration, but like Seneca and Cayuga and like these big lakes, they're very deep. I mean, 600 plus feet deep. So when they start churning, they hold their temperature pretty good, and it takes a lot for them to freeze. So
you don't need many of those for the mallards just to stick tight.
No, they'll weather out some storms if they got places to feed and open water. It's they're pretty incredible.
Yeah, when you guys are getting totally frozen and your rivers are like that, that's when our Kansas River is at its best, because it freezes all up and down the river, but the birds keep holes open just every mile or so. I mean, people get kind of annoyed when they see my videos with us. Sometimes we'll bust them off a roost and go in and set up, but they don't understand there's like a roost every mile. I mean, they just go, even when you bust them up, a lot of times they go a mile down. You can see exactly where they go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an effective way to hunt, but it's hard because the river's shallow. So even boat and frozen in most places, you can't boat in. You have to be able to get permission. Then you have to be willing to, can I get out on the ice?
Yeah.
And that's always
but
scary.
It's real rewarding. Yeah. And it's scary, a little scary too, but
yeah, but that's what a lot of people, that's why you get good hunts out of that. Because a lot of people don't want to go through all that to kill, geese or whatever, ducks. That's what I just talked to we're trying, it's our opener, so we're bouncing around trying. Last year, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of private marshes and stuff we hunt for early season. So I was trying to find a couple, and one of them actually backs up to a lot of the public ground that we hunt. And I talked to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm leasing it for $100 a day per person per gun." And I was like, "Well, we're not going to pay to do that, but we do hunt the public." And I told Cody, I'm like really excited about that, because all that means is those birds are going to get shot at every day, and you know where they're going to go is the spots that we got to walk a mile into that no one else is going to do. So I'm excited that he's doing that, but you know, we run into that a lot more than used to, is paying to hunt, and we don't like to do that. Not saying that we're cheap, but you know, we a lot of the times I feel like if you offer it, then you know, the guy that doesn't have the money to do that, and then when he goes and asks permission next time, they're gonna want money for it, and you're kind of knocking people down from being able to just have good relationships with farmers and you know, take care of their ground without paying for it. And I don't know. I don't like paying for it. I'd rather just be respectful and have just as much chance that somebody else can hunt it as I do.
Yeah, I think all around leasing and that kind of stuff is bad for the industry, bad for hunting, makes it harder for people to get out there. It's already hard enough to get permission. It makes it even harder. And, you know, with, you know, hunting numbers not necessarily growing, you know, it's just not helpful.
Yeah. I see it both ways. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to fight the crowds. They don't want to do that. And, you know, I'm not saying that it's wrong to lease anything. If that's what works best for you, then great. Me personally, I like knowing that anybody else can, if they put in as much work, they have the same opportunity as me. I know a lot of people that lease stuff because they only get to hunt, you know, weekends, and they don't want to get beat to a field, and they don't want to get beat to the marsh. And I can agree with that 100% and understand it. I'm really biased because I can do it any day of the week. So I have the luxury of going out and spending extra time to find the different places where, if dad wants to take his son out and he gets, you know, beat to a marsh and his kid's 13 years old, and, you know, you run into other hunters there and he doesn't get to hunt, he got up at 4:00 to go hunt, then his chances of getting into hunting is probably going down fast because he didn't get to hunt. And, you know, where if they have a lease and he can take them out. So I mean, there's benefits to both sides.
I definitely can respect both points of view. I just get frustrated from time to time when you go out there and ask, and it's just no's, or do you want to lease? And
Or I grew up back in Pennsylvania. I remember one year we had to have knocked on 100 doors. I mean, it was insane. And no, we never. I mean, my grandparents had a farm that I grew up hunting, which was very fortunate for, but and then we had like 3 other spots, and where we had the river and stuff like that. But most of the birds we hunted were all traffic birds. I mean, we had a couple roosts that we'd set up in between and just do our best to kill birds, just because we couldn't go where they wanted to be. It was really difficult to get permission. So I've seen kind of everything, you know. Here it's, you know, it's mixture. You get a lot of no's, but you get a yes here and there. And out in the Midwest, it's just finding the person, sitting down and talking to them, and most of them will let on if you don't tear up their field. But then it's getting to the fields, because it's always so wet and nasty. That's kind of why we started doing a lot more of the mobile hunting style, is being able to huck stuff out into the field.
I'm curious about your hunt trip and how you're going to approach it as far as videoing. Do you have a game plan going in, or what? I mean, obviously I wouldn't think you would record every single day, or maybe you will. What's your plan as far as videos for that trip?
Well, we'll be out there 2 weeks. So hopefully, we'll have an episode. Let me pull up a calendar to answer you right here. So we'll have an episode that comes out November okay. So yeah, the 29th is this week's episode. And then we'll have another episode that comes out November 5th, which will probably be something local. And then the next couple episodes will all be from Manitoba. So we'll be editing them while we're out there. We'll video every single day. We probably won't. I mean, 14 days is a lot of video. So like I know North Dakota and stuff, we don't show everything just because it's way too much to go through, put together, and get out. But I'm hoping that we'll have 4 episodes from at least 4, maybe 5 episodes from Manitoba, really showing everything from start to finish.
So will the episodes show the whole journey of the trip as well?
Mm-hmm.
Like driving and trying to just encompass the whole experience?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, we like to get as much feedback from people as possible, what they want to see, because I feel like sometimes we have a hard time thinking of new, interesting stuff that people may want to see. But I know when I watch stuff, I enjoy just the lifestyle of it as much as the hunting side of it. So yeah, it'll be the trip out, scouting, as much information as we can possibly get out there, and really just try to make people feel like they're there with us as much as possible. So yeah, I mean, if there is anybody listening that wants to see something in particular, just shoot us a message and let us know, because that's what we're trying to reach is what people want to see. I don't think we do a bad job of it, but when you're doing episode every single week, it kind of starts to get hard to think of new stuff. And we have, a lot of different viewers from different backgrounds and different experience levels. I know sometimes I run into not thinking of what I would have thought about when I was first starting. And I kind of overlook a lot of that stuff that to me is just common knowledge because we've been doing it for so long. But to guys that are trying to learn and get into it, they may not know that. So
I guess one thing, kind of along with that question, hitting on something you said just a little bit ago, what would be cool to see in your videos, or I guess even now you could give us a few tips, but you're saying you're trying to be as mobile as possible. So what exactly do you do to increase your mobility?
As far as getting out into the fields, or just being able to go anywhere? I like what our setup's looking like when we're mobile.
Yeah. So how you take everything with you out to the field?
Yep. We utilize sleds a lot. I have a beaver tail sled that's got a big skirt on it, which really sucks when you're not in water. If you pack that thing full, it is heavy. Like I said, we'll use silhouettes. I think I can fit 12 dozen silhouettes in a bag. That's our mobile setup. If we can run an A-frame, we like to, but if not, I know a lot of the public spots we hunt will literally build a little blind if we're hunting ducks. Layout blind wise, they're the mobile elites that Cabelas sell. They're not going to be your most luxurious blind, but they're low profile. They fold up and you can throw them on your back, and they don't weigh anything. I mean, they're that wide. They're perfect square backpack straps. I've got a big.
Is that the kind that the lid flips up back over your head, or does it have?
No, those are the power hunters. So the power hunters are almost like a sleeping bag, and it doesn't have opening doors. It's just the lid. Yeah. These are they have door frames, but you pop them out so they fold in. They're like kind of more of a flappy door. They've got the mesh face mask, and then it folds up into 3. Okay. So it's just kind of folds out, pull some straps to tighten it, and then you can fold it up with a stubble on, buckle it, throw it on your back. And it's not like, the older layout blinds where they have like the shoulder strap and then it's hitting you in the butt and you're tripping over it. Yeah, it's just so these are small, and they're not as comfortable as your bigger, really framed out layout blinds, but they're low profile, which is key, and they're easy to pack in.
What kind of A-frame do you use?
We have a Avian zinc,
Gotcha.
Avian X1. There's actually a new one that I wanted to try that. I'm having a brain fart here. Yeah, but it's Heavy Hauler makes one, and it's almost like it's called the hub blind. I'm actually pretty interested in that because it's got like a hub, like a ground blind would have, right? It just pops out. I would say it's kind of similar to like a tangle-free panel blind, but probably a little lighter. Not as I don't know. I've never like held one, but I like that how compact you could get. I don't know how well stubble would stay on it, but I like that it's only a front, which drops half the weight. It folds up all into one thing, and a lot of spots that we hunt, we can tuck in where we have good back cover and just need that front and then something coming over our heads. I mean, the Avian A-frame, that's actually what we were doing just about an hour ago for our hunt. When you get those things stubbled in, it is beautiful. I mean, you disappear. A lot of marshes and stuff we hunt, there's no way. I can't see the blind half the time. So, I mean, when you stubble them in right there, awesome.
I've been using the HTR A-frame blind a lot here lately. I'm not biased at all, but I think it's pretty cool.
Is it?
Yeah.
How heavy is it when you break it down?
It's actually pretty light because it's fully made out of aluminum. So it's just, I mean, you break it down into 6 pieces, and then you got the fabric cloth, and it's just pretty light.
How many guys can you hunt out of it?
You can fit 4 in it,
4.
But I mean, we've hunted 4 out of it, and that's fine. But it's more comfortable, like if you just want to hunt 3 out of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure most blinds are like that. It gives you a little bit more space, but if you're, shoulder to shoulder, it's fine. We've hunted 4 out of that and done fine too.
Yeah, we've hunted out that one. Alton makes one that's pretty similar. That's what we hunted out of. We hunted out of them in Canada, and they were good blinds. What I would like to toy with more, especially for some of our marsh setups, is fast strikes. I don't know if you guys have ever used any of them, but that concept is really interesting to me, just because it seems so simple and light and easy to pack in. Packing that A-frame in when you're walking, 3/4 of a mile is probably one of the most miserable things in the world. Then once you get out there and you're golden with your hide, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, I love hunting out of A-frames. It's just like when you compare it to laying out. I know a lot of people want to lay out in fields and stuff, but man, I'd rather hunt an A-frame any day of the week. It's just it's way more comfortable. I feel like you're more accurate standing up and shooting. It's just
more comfortable than laying down. I feel more comfortable than laying down.
I don't know. I feel like it's more. I'd rather sit like on a marsh stool sitting there. It's not uncomfortable at all, and it's just.
I think it's more comfortable to shoot out of an A-frame standing up than popping out of a layout blind.
For sure. It's hard coming out of layout blind. It's a different game shooting wise.
Oh yeah. Yep. Have you messed with running them in fields, like right in the middle of a field? Yeah.
Not without cover around.
Like fence rows and ditches and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like if they got a slough with a bunch of grass that's grown up from flooding or something like that.
We've always wanted to do it, and every time we talk just because we're like, that should not work.
I've seen it work,
and we did it in Ontario, and it worked for us. I mean, granted, we're north, but it's definitely something that we're going to try, because if I never had a layout blind again, I would be more than happy to hunt out an A-frame every single day, because I hate stumbling layout blinds. But yeah, I mean, in Ontario it worked, and like I said, I'm a situational hunter, but I'm definitely going to try it more, because every time we just talk ourselves out of it, and then that's how those guys hunt up there. They haven't hunted out of a layout blind in 2 years, and I could not say. I mean, we ran 15 dozen silhouettes and an A-frame in the middle of a grass field. There was no hide, nothing. So we just put a big brush pile in the middle, and birds finished and worked just like they would over layout.
Was it a grass field, you said? Like
Yeah,
green grass?
like
Like
it was a regrown field.
Was it green or?
Yeah, it was green.
Oh wow.
Yep, about 3 inch tall grass, and we slapped that thing right in the middle of it, and it looked ridiculous. But we killed our geese, and
That's awesome.
20 geese decoyed, perfect, fine. They did not care, and they were saying a lot of it is, is that obviously the A-frame is getting it. If they can't see down into it, then they never seem like they have an issue. They also said that they've had a lot better success running 2. They felt like running 1 made it more sketchy, but with 2, it's bigger and more obvious, but more natural. They had better luck. So even if they're hunting 3 guys, they'll run 2 of them just to have that bigger space. So I'm not saying it works all the time, but when we did it, it worked for us. So
I've never ever used an A-frame or even thought about it until recently. Do any of these makers make an A-frame that can be packed in that's not?
Check out
really
Fast
difficult?
Strike. That's what I was talking about. So I don't know if have you seen the Fast Strike blinds?
No.
So I've never used them. I've seen people use them, and I've always wanted to get one. Haven't yet, but it's pretty much a plastic bar and like roto mold, pretty much like a cooler would be or a kayak, and you can fold it up, and then you can put it has stakes on it, but you can put like extra on there, and it's just got a bungee, and like you can put grass in it, and it just holds it there, and you can grow it however you want. It's got roof adapters, so they're like 45 degrees, so you can run stuff up and over, and they're sweet looking. I mean, and that would be what I would look into if I was packing something in.
We're just so consumed with like our layout boats in the marshes that we're hunting in, because I'm to the point where if I don't have something covering my head, I feel like I can't get mallards to finish.
Yep.
So like we've got this place this weekend and there's a bunch of mallards in there, and there's no way that we can't just paddle into it. So we're actually going to strap our layout boats onto deer carts and portage them like that, just for the hide alone. I mean, once we get in there, we'll be a lot more maneuverable because it's a pretty big pool. But it's just like the thought of going in there and sitting in the cattails on buckets or something. I just can't stand
the
thought of that. Even
cattails without any sort of cover.
Yeah. And that's what it would be. So it's like, man, as much work as we're going into to carting these boats in, I'm sure we could cart an A-frame in.
Yeah. I would check them out. I like I said, I haven't hunted on them, but that's like, if I was looking for a mobile way to get in somewhere and hide, that's what I would get.
Yeah. Well, I know like Jordan was saying that HTRs is pretty light.
Oh, looks like we lost Elliot.
I think we may have to add something to our.
Yeah.
They're
nice.
Equipment.
They're nice to have for the situations. I mean, we don't use them all the time, but when we can, the confidence you have when that thing is stubbled right, that birds will not be able to see you, is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like tomorrow where we hunt, there's no overhead. It's kind of like it's a big marsh, but there's no overhead cover. I mean, you may get, when those birds are in there for the first week, your shots being able to hide in the grass and whatnot, but you don't have anything overhead, and that's what screws you. It's not when they're coming in low and you can hide and you got stuff in front of you. It's when they get right over top and they look down, and
then you're screwed.
Four dudes sitting there with guns. Like, and like we do a lot of drone footage, and that just opens up your eyes to so much. Being able to see, and obviously birds see differently and whatnot, but just being able to see what you look like from above is just crazy. Like, you may think that you're hidden so well, and then you get that thing over you and you're like, wow, like, no wonder, because there's 3 guys sitting there and it is more than obvious. So
when we build a blind and we take these mesh nets with us, we typically have, and anytime we build a blind, we put a lot more work into the top than we do the front.
Yep.
Especially for mallards. I would rather have no front than no top.
Yeah.
But most people, it's like they put in front of them, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it just doesn't seem to work.
No. No. That's the thing. If they can see you, you ain't gonna kill them.
Yeah.
It's like It's like what's his name from Ducklander Calls. He said one thing I like what he said.
Bobby Hayes.
Bobby Hayes, yeah, about your hide and stuff. He says everybody is a slayer for the first 30 minutes of light because you're hidden by the darkness. But after that, that's when it separates the people who know how to have a good hide and still kill the ducks, opposed to the people that are bucket squatters, as Elliot likes to call them.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, these prairie marshes, bucket squatters are the ultimate enemy, because you get out there, you know, you get out in the marsh, you're in a layout boat, and here you can hear the sound, the sloshing through the marsh. And I've seen these bucket squatters, and I used to be one, and I know that I'm not trying to be too disparaging, but in my own personal experience, I've seen guys come out in a bucket, put their spinner like 45 yards away from them, get clear back because they can't get ahead, and their decoying shots are trying to kill birds at 45. That's like shot number one, because they have no chance. You've got if you're gonna sit on a bucket, and so some of these guys will do it without even a lot of cattails, just like sit right out in the open, you know. And it's like their idea of a decoy is 45 yards is shot number one. You know,
I don't even want to shoot a bird if it's 45 yards.
And those guys, you watch those guys long enough, it's like, oh, there goes that bird sprayed over there. Yeah. That bird's going down over there. And they're not trying to get any of them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because they got to walk out there to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hike just to get to your spinner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I'm glad I have a dog. I don't know how I hunted before I had dogs. I mean, it is like we hunted the other day, and I think we only shot like 6 ducks. We would have only found one if we didn't have a dog, just because it's such a small spot and it's tall grass, and if you don't stone them dead, they hit that water and they just gone. But without a dog, we would have been.
We had the same thing Saturday, but yeah. So before you head out, John, let us know a little bit what you got planned for the rest of the season. And then right after that, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had my buddy ask me that just the other day what I had planned for the rest of the season. And I told him I got Manitoba pretty much like a gypsy. I'm going to go wherever. I think we talked about maybe doing a Wisconsin trip with Jake. We'll definitely do Arkansas, whether we go down for just snow geese or we go down a little bit earlier. I'll never hunt snow geese anywhere else besides Arkansas. And then maybe Michigan, a lot of New York stuff, Pennsylvania, back and forth. I'd love to get out and do some sea duck hunting again. It's really all up in the air. So if anybody wants to see something, let us know. We actually did talk about maybe going down to Cheyenne Bottoms. But if people want to see us go somewhere, we are open to it, and we want to go try stuff that everybody else is trying. So if you want to see it, let us know, and we'll do our best to make it happen. I know we've met a lot of people over the last couple of years just by reaching out and asking us if we want to hunt, and we are more than open to that. And that's how we've made a lot of our best hunting buddies. We're just like everybody else. So we want to do what you guys are doing. So if you have any ideas for us, let us know. For videos, every Monday on the Cabelas Hunting YouTube channel will be an episode and gear review, how-to tip. I think we're on our 6th or 7th episode this season, and we've got 22 total, so a lot more to go. Every Monday there, usually they're up by 8 a.m. Eastern time, and then social media for me is just Instagram is at jlewis92, and Facebook is just John Lewis. So that's where you can kind of see. I should be more active on there than I am, but spend more time driving around looking for ducks than I do punching keys. Well, I spend a lot of time punching keys, but just not on social media as much. But but yeah, like I said, if you guys have anything you want to see, let us know, and we're more than happy to try and hit on it in the next show, or how-tos and stuff like that. We're always looking for ideas.
Good stuff. Well, if you're ever around in Indiana or want to make a trip out here, I'd be glad to.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. We're more than happy to try new stuff. Like I said, that's what we love about this is meeting new people, and you know, that's why we hunt. We don't hunt just to kill stuff. We hunt to meet new people and join new experiences. I got actually one. Kyle is sitting right next to me, who I'm hunting with tomorrow, and that's how we started hunting together. Was he just shot? Actually, I think, would you comment on YouTube a couple times, and we just started hunting together. I mean, that's how most of our buddies are. So we are open to it.
Jeff too.
Yeah. So
any last words, Elliot?
I don't think so. If you do end up making it to the bottoms, give me a holler. I'd be curious just to know when you were there, and
yeah,
sometimes I have some inside information as to which pools are good. So
yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'd love to meet up with you guys at some point and get on the show and shoot some ducks and have a good time.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So
awesome.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me again.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun
coming on as always. Yeah. Anytime you want to, or anytime we'd be glad to have you on again.
Yeah, let me know. I'm a crazy busy this time of the year, but we kind of took a little bit to get this one lined up, but yeah, just let me know. I'm more than happy to come on. Yes, sir. So
all righty, that's all we got tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming along, and thanks, John, for joining us. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, John from Cabelas Northern Flights, and we'll see you guys next time.
That was great.